Hi, it's Illicit Carlson here. Sadly, in recent years, we lost legendary film producer Roger Corman, a man who was infamous for being able to create huge blockbusters on minuscule budgets. And today, we're going to get a 4K release of one of Corman's underrated gems of sorts from Scream Factory. This is Galaxy of Terror. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. Great cover art there that kind of gives you an idea of what you're in for. Spine text, back cover of the package. The art under the slipcover is basically the same. Sadly, no reversible artwork on this one. Inside the package, we get the film in 4K Ultra High Def, and we also get a Blu-ray disc of the film that includes the bulk of the bonus features. The mind's innermost fears become reality for the crew members of the Quest when they land on a barren planet to rescue survivors from the starship Remus. The crew investigates a giant pyramid on the planet, hoping to find the missing crew members, only to discover something deadly waiting for them instead. Each crew member must come face to face with their darkest fears or perish. The crew of the Quest includes Edward Albert, Aaron Moran, Ray Walston, Robert Englund, Zalman King, and Sid Haig. The film had its share of new, emerging talents behind the camera as well, including James Cameron, who did the production design, and actor Bill Paxton, who worked as a set decorator. Roger Corman certainly made an impact on the film industry with his low-budget films, which somehow, in a lot of cases, managed to become enormous hits. Galaxy of Terror is one that doesn't get talked about very often, but there's certainly some talent on both sides of the camera. The movie is largely a low-budget ripoff of the film Alien, but Corman was such an expert working with low budgets that you wouldn't really know this was a low-budget film unless you knew otherwise. Of course, looking back 4K Ultra High Def, some of the stuff looks a little more fake by today's standards, but that doesn't make it any less enjoyable. The movie also incorporates some more existential fantasy elements, likely inspired by Frank Herbert's legendary novel Dune. That, of course, would get a film adaptation about 3 years later, courtesy of the late David Lynch. And the cast of the film is absolutely phenomenal. You look at some of these names here. You have Aaron Moran of Happy Days and Joni Loves Chachi fame. You have Sid Haig, who of course previously played a henchman in the James Bond film Diamonds Are Forever, but is probably best known for working in those Rob Zombie horror movies. Robert Englund, the man who went on to play Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies before anyone knew who he was. Ray Walston, who of course was famed for being on My Favorite Martian, but is probably best known these days for portraying strict teacher Mr. Hand in the classic comedy drama Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And the production crew, which included a very young James Cameron, does a great job going a long way with Mr. Corman's low budget. The film does feel a bit silly, campy, and exploitative at times, but it certainly earns its R rating for violence, including a monster on human sex scene that I can't really describe or show here for obvious reasons. Apparently some cuts had to be made to said scene in order for the film to get an R rating instead of an X rating. I have to say, Galaxy of Terror is no masterpiece, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a blast watching this one. It's a ton of fun, and you get to see a lot of talents, early in their careers. The production work is actually quite good, and the performances aren't half bad either, given the somewhat campy B-movie nature of the material. And I'll definitely find myself going back to this one in the future. This was my first time watching Galaxy of Terror. It certainly won't be the last. Scream Factory brings Galaxy of Terror to 4K, and understandably, there are some somewhat dirty-looking shots and optical effects that haven't aged the best, but for the most part, this is actually a pretty solid-looking 4K transfer. The addition of Dolby Vision works wonders for the colors, and of course the shadow detail and deeper, darker black levels. The opening credits sequence looks a little murky, but once you get past that, there's some shots that are crystal clear. Again, with all the optics that went into making this movie, it's never going to look pristine or like home theater demo material, but Shout Factory did a bang-up job with this one, and for the most part, I couldn't be happier with the way it looks. We do get some bonus features, most noteworthy of which being an hour-long, multi-part making-of documentary on the movie. I sat down and watched this and just had an absolute blast with it. The history behind the film is almost more entertaining than the film itself. There's also a gallery of TV spots, trailers, and art. So fans of the movie shouldn't be disappointed with what's here. We even get an audio commentary track with some of the cast and crew. Galaxy of Terror has certainly been done justice by Shout Factory here, giving us great picture quality, a ton of supplements, and of course the movie itself is as entertaining as can be. It's not going to be for everybody, but For a violent, campy, B-movie sci-fi experience that's essentially a poor man's Alien, I had a great time watching Galaxy of Terror. I guarantee you it won't be the last time I watch this one. A very highly recommended release. How about you? What are your thoughts on Galaxy of Terror? Do you think this is a campy cult classic from Roger Corman? Do you think it's a horrible movie that should have been swept under the rug back when it first came out? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.